Exactly who the hosts are, we can say.
Who the hosts are. And it's gotten to a point where it's like in the Kabbalion, it says, for those with eyes to see and ears to hear. And it just opens up.
Where I went and did a psychotherapy session for myself. And by doing that, I was able to dispel those things. And like what you explained with the narcissistic tendencies and things like that, I was able to acknowledge those things and instead be able to utilize them to work for me instead of hindering myself.
So much so about myself that I made it to the detriment of myself. And then at some point I realized, by stepping into service and making it more about that person, I realized that service-centered approach really afforded me a whole new outlook to life.
Really, his awesome podcast called Just Tap In.
Yeah, Emilio Ortiz.
Yes.
I'll come on our podcast.
Yes, you will, Emilio.
I'm spelling it, Emilio.
Yes, we're spelling that you will be on a podcast conversation with us on number 9.
And what do they each stand for? Do you remember?
So S is simplified, A is advanced, I instructions, W whilst, O on, E earth. So simplified, advanced instructions whilst on earth.
Namaste and a beautiful day, everyone.
Namaste.
My name is Hermes.
And my name is Rekiah-lee.
We thought we would jump on here today and initiate our very, very first podcast.
So exciting.
Yeah. So we're jumping on today. We have well and truly recorded a few podcasts up until this point.
We sure
But
have.
we thought it would be powerful to start off by making one ourselves first and introducing, let's say, us.
Yes.
Before starting the other podcast.
Exactly who the hosts are, we can say.
Who the hosts are with our own structure, we might say.
Yes.
Now, usually we would have a set of questions and things like that we would go through, but we thought we would just flow with today's conversation.
Yeah, flow with grace and ease.
We have some, let's say, please excuse the phones on the table here, but we have some notes just to go by to refer to as we go through.
Yes.
But first we wanted to start by introducing ourselves. Who are we? How did we get here? Why we're deciding to do a podcast? Out of which space are we doing it? Are we doing it from a space of creating a company, things like that? And the answer is yes.
We sure are.
But we will be talking about all of those things here today. So I feel let's start off.
Of course.
So these beautiful people can get to know us. So essentially, who are you? So yes, you're Rekiah-lee.
Yes, I am.
But who are you? And what brought you to this table here today?
I love it. Beautiful question to begin with. So I feel what brought me to the table here today, I guess there are many different ways that I can answer this question, as it is a deep question if that's how you go into it, the rabbit hole as we can say. But I feel that I will just surmise my answer as I feel with the episodes that unfold, people get to know me more and more as they tune into who we are. So I think that'll be exciting to bring along the ride for that. But to go back to the question, so what brought me to the table, I feel there are many different things within my reality that brought me here today to make me the person that I am. I feel some things to mention that there were some things within my timeline, we can say epigenetics, where I had some things happen to me. So back then they were happening to me instead of for me. But by being able to step into this line of work to assist others and myself of an inner healing intelligence journey, I was able to establish tools to assist myself in self-love regulating.
I love it. So let's say, yes, there's certain things that happened to you in the past.
Definitely.
And what brought you to this table here today is to be in service to others.
Exactly.
To assist them through a holistic approach.
With a W.
With a W. How do you spell it?
WHOLISTIC.
That's it. A holistic approach, to come to a point to activate their own inner healing intelligence. To get to that point where they say, right, it's like, what is the Philosopher Stone for them?
Yes.
How do they get to the point to live a happily complete life?
Which is happily incomplete, number 9.
Happily incomplete, the perfectly imperfect. I absolutely love that.
Yes.
And I suppose that might be a good segue for myself to go down the same route.
Of course.
So yes, Namaste once again. My name is Hermes. And once again, a big welcome and congratulations to you guys jumping onto this podcast here.
Thank you for sharing this space with us. It's beautiful
Yeah.
to create a community of like-minded individuals.
That's it. Thank you for sharing this space. You know, there certainly is many awesome things to come before I jump into myself. And myself and Rekiah are truly very excited to have gotten to this point to, start to share many different aspects and with you guys as well. So yes, my name is Hermes. I come from a very colorful background. I have done many and plenty of things in my life, but essentially I feel I would round it and start by, going into it by saying that my story would be very similar to yours. Some things that happened to me in my past.
Yes.
My main, I would say, advocate on that path, or, whatever people wish to call it, trauma or so forth, would have been the way that I was born.
Yes.
Born what they call blue, so essentially brain dead, right, with the umbilical cord around my neck, and that caused certain things throughout my life to unfold. Now, long story short, I got to a point in my life where I started to get into more holistic modalities, initially with a H, right, as you mentioned before. Initially with a H, breath work, plant medicine, different types of psychotherapy modalities or psychotherapeutic modalities, such as timeline regression, cognitive behavioral therapy, NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, epigenetics, as you said. And I studied so much that went through Dr. Joe Dispenza's work. We're looking at Manly B. Hall, slightly more esoteric. We're looking at H.P. Blavatsky today.
Yes, and Bruce Lipton yesterday.
Yeah, and Bruce Lipton yesterday.
Yes, and Amelia and his awesome podcast called Just Tap In.
Yeah, Amelia Ortiz.
Yes.
Oh, come on our podcast.
Yes, you will, Amelia.
Eventually. I'm spelling it, Amelia.
Yes, we're spelling that you will be on a podcast conversation with us on number 9.
I suppose that's how you did it with Edward.
Yeah, manifestation.
Anyway, love you, Amelia. So essentially then it got to a point then, if I was to speak about myself personally at this point, got to a point in my life where I had studied so much and realized so much through esoteric thought and schools of thought. And we're looking at Hermetics now. We're looking at alchemy, Theosophy, you name it, even biblical, esoteric Christianity I've gone down. And I got to a point where I realized, oh, wow, like I am the key. My body is my temple, and hence this whole creation is of myself and my mind. But I realized that the only way for myself to find peace was to make it more about others.
Yes.
Because there's two energies within myself. I've got, let's say, left-hand path, which is a type of narcissistic tendency.
Yes.
Let's call this narcissism, right? Or a service to self approach in life, which is not wrong. We need that approach as well to be able to find a balance in between the both. But the service to self approach, which is that make it so much about myself that it's to the detriment of others. And I did that for a long time. Then I went the complete other end of the coin, right? Literally the dark to the light.
Yes.
And I started to people please, which is complete service to other.
Yes.
Or also a selfless approach, a selfish approach. This was a selfless approach.
Yes.
But this one was so much so about myself that I made it to the detriment of myself. And then at some point I realized, by stepping into service and making it more about that person, I realized that service-centered approach really afforded me a whole new outlook to life where I could realize, oh, wow, I'm perfectly imperfect. That person's perfectly imperfect. And through doing regular work with individuals like that through many different modalities which we offer, the mentorship, companion therapy, psychotherapeutic modalities as well, I could get to a point where I realized at some point through this work and my experience with psychedelics and so forth as well, that they are me.
Yes.
Right. And the more that I work with these people, the more I get to know myself, which is ultimately for myself the biggest heading when it comes to life.
Yes.
Talk about purpose, mission, reason. I feel it's beyond that.
Yes.
I no longer feel that it is something to make a logical assumption around. It's more so a knowing, right? which is that Temet Nosce.
Yes.
In the
know
Matrix
thyself.
movie, the sign in the Oracle's kitchen. So that's what brought me to the table.
Wow,
I
I
feel.
love it.
So I went off on a little tangent there.
I love the rabbit hole we went down just then.
100%.
Yeah.
And I suppose it would be the exact same for you then.
Yeah, same. Yeah, so myself and you, we got introduced by a similar journey. So back at that time, I was going through things to my epigenetics, but I wasn't aware of how to regulate my emotions back then. Because back then as a child, you don't learn that. You learn other different things. So by doing this work on myself, I realized, oh, okay, I've been sitting with these emotions. You can say depression, depressed emotions from the past, which yes, it is just a label. But if we are speaking inside of the box, the square world, that is a beautiful way to assist people to hear what I went through. So I feel with that aspect by, so what happened with us and our journey, I reached out to a beautiful company called Sacred Healing, where I went and did a psychotherapy session for myself. And by doing that, I was able to dispel those things. And like what you explained with the narcissistic tendencies and things like that, I was able to acknowledge those things and instead be able to utilize them to work for me instead of hindering myself.
100%. So you could acknowledge that the trauma or however you wish to refer to it, because I believe you don't refer to it as trauma any longer.
No.
Just a gift.
Just a gift.
Or a
symptom.
samskara.
Yeah, samskara.
Yeah.
Symptom.
It's a soul wound,
Yes.
that like, because you introduced me to Rumi, so I'll give you
Yes.
that credit on the podcast here so everyone can see.
Thanks.
But you introduced me to Rumi, and Rumi's got a beautiful quote or
Yes.
a poem
Yes.
where I forget the exact poem. We might post it below
Yeah, of
as
course.
well on the timestamps or something. But where he says essentially it's the cracks in the skin, let's say the wound where you got cut, that allows the light to enter into your vessel, And I feel that's exactly what happened then.
Exactly.
You changed Dr. Wayne Dyer.
Yes.
You didn't like the thing you were looking at because it was causing so much disruption in your life.
Yes. It was causing dis-ease.
And it was causing dis-ease,
Mm-hmm.
which then could eventually have turned into disease.
Yes.
But it did for you.
Yes, it sure did.
How?
So with that, when I was younger, I had this thing called RSP, which stands for Regional Pain Syndrome. So because I wasn't sure on how to regulate my emotions, that energy in motion, emotions, became stagnant within my vessel, which caused inflammation on my muscles. So what was quite fascinating was by learning how to acknowledge those emotions and work through that, I was able to give a direction to then become a clear conduit to receive from source.
100%. That's beautifully said. To be able to completely step out of the way.
Yes.
That's essentially what you're saying.
To stop making about myself the small me.
Yeah.
I became more aware of the big I then in the all.
So you realize that, it's like the memes that you see on like the spiritual Instagrams,
Yes.
Insta porn, where it's like, I haven't referred to it in that way in a while, but, it's like, the universe, you say to the universe, I'm ready to step out of the way.
Yes.
But then you still hold on to some things,
Yes.
Of course, we're still going to have that. We are going to hold on to some things still sometimes.
Definitely.
But also, maybe not. As I'm saying that too, it's like I realized with myself and you, we've gotten to the point in doing this work where even though things come up, we do actually step out of the way relatively quickly.
Yes.
And I feel that's what we want to share with people.
Definitely.
It's like
Through our experience.
that's it. Because we've done a few podcasts now.
Yes, we have.
Up until this point with a couple of people, and obviously haven't posted it yet because we wanted to start off first and have a few in the bank and just so people know where we're at. Not that they need that information.
Exactly.
But we've realized that I'm starting to lose my train of thought now.
It's okay.
Yeah. What were we speaking about? So we were speaking about
So we were speaking about myself and how my body was keeping score. It was holding score.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
I got it back now.
There you go.
But that's what we want to share to people.
Yes.
And let's say, what is that?
Yes.
Let's say in esoterics or occult knowledge
Yes.
or hidden knowledge, they refer to it in like alchemy as the Philosopher's Stone,
Like you mentioned before.
100%. Or as many individuals who are currently in that kind of a sphere, like, Edward Grant
Yes.
or all of these other people. And I know they keep coming up in our podcast lately because, it's
We've been studying them,
we've
and
been
we're
studying
loving their knowledge.
their work and their books and so forth. And, Philomath, it's a beautiful book. I'm
Yes.
literally going to start with it soon.
Shakespeare by Alan Green.
Shakespeare by Alan W. Green,
Yes.
So if Elias brings out a book, I'll read that too.
Me too.
But anyway, so then all these great traditions, I've been studying personally. I know you've been studying for a while as well, intensely.
Yes.
Myself, have been involved with studying esoterics now for probably the last 10 years or so. And it's gotten to a point where it's like in the Kabbalion, it says, for those with eyes to see and ears to hear. And it just opens up one day,
It does.
doesn't it?
Yeah, the door opens.
The door
it's like
opens.
you step through the veil, like we spoke earlier today about.
That's it. And that's what we want to share with people.
Yes.
Not for anything in return in any way, shape or form. We really just genuinely want to share it.
Yeah.
But there is also the understanding, and yes, it is a but, that person has to be awake to see it.
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
I agree. I think, definitely on the same page with you. Yeah, I hear you completely.
100%. So then let's say that's what we're bringing forward then.
Definitely.
And that's what our organization that we've now created the foundation for, which is now starting as well in its own capacity, let's say more of an open capacity, is what we're bringing forward, we
Yes.
might say.
Yeah.
And that organism we call what?
SacredCo.
SacredCo.
Yes.
Right.
And I feel like we can unpack the logo a little bit there as well, because as you guys will see in our videos, we'll have our logo in the corner or wherever we put it on our thumbnails and things like that. So with our logo, there are 3 different symbols. So the background is the seed of life. On top of that, it has an infinity symbol and then a key through the middle. And I thought I'd love for you to talk about what the seed of life means to you.
100% as to why we added the seed of
Yeah.
life. Well, let's say I feel it's the seed of life is one of those beautiful sacred geometry, let's say sacred geometrical symbols that encapsulates so much more than we might even be able to fathom.
Yes.
And it's through different things like, the Shakespearean knowledge and that being decoded, or potentially going into like Edward Grant's work, which is like Philomath, and
Yes.
looking at the mathematical symbolism of it,
Yes.
or potentially if you even just look at the sacred geometry as a whole,
Yes.
and it's like one of the forces of quadrivium. It's a type of language of the universe that
Yes,
we
and the
start to.
trivium as well.
That's it, and the trivium as well. But let's say the seed of life then for myself is to the way that I've come to understand it. Look, we can go into the deeper definition of it as well, but it really is coming to an understanding of I am one and the same with the seed,
Yes.
right? That is me that I'm looking
The
at.
U inverse.
Yeah. That's the you inverse that I'm becoming aware of more and more and more and more. But the seed of life holds so much knowledge intrinsically within itself. We might say it holds, within it the flower of life, because
Yes.
it can bloom into the flower of life,
Yes.
and we look at that as starting to evolve into something like the Taurus and the biomagnetic fields, which we're, the bioelectromagnetic fields, which we're writing compendiums on at the moment,
Yes.
and
Well, the
courses
Kabbalion,
and
heaps
things
of
like that.
things. Yeah.
And awakening, to more than yourself, to the point where we say, oh, okay, for some individuals out there, they are going to be in what we call a healing mindset,
Yes.
right? Now, for us, a healing mindset would be just to dissect it more,
Of course.
right? Because I'm
yeah.
giving you
Paint
what the
more of a
seed,
picture.
what the seed means
I
to,
see.
to me and like to us as well, the reason why we used it. But let's say then fundamentally someone might be in a healing mindset, someone in a seeking mindset, and someone in a co-creator mindset. Now, they are 3 distinctly different mindsets.
Yes.
The healing one will be individuals that we work with, which we have been working with for a long period of time now, which might be coming to us to work out of a space of, let's say, they might be depressed, or they might be anxious, or they might have PTSD, right? Or maybe some kind of a mental disorder such as a dissociative disorder or even
Yes.
bipolar, right? And they've gone down the traditional route and they just haven't found something that assists them to shift it,
Yes.
right? And they feel like they've hit a ceiling.
Yes.
It's like, fuck, I don't want to sit with it. You know what I mean? Who would want to be there?
Yeah, I agree.
So for individuals like that, there's an opportunity as well through the work that we
Yes.
do. Now then, as we evolve more out of that mindset and we realize that that very thing that we're trying to rid ourselves of is actually our gift, therefore we can then shift into that number 9, which is then starting to become a seeker mindset. It's like, oh, okay, wow. So there is actually nothing wrong with me. The very thing that I've attempted to avoid all this time is my gift. By acknowledging that as my power, I become more myself, right? As Carl Jung refers to it as the process of individuation.
Yes.
Right? Still good?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Still just flowing with it.
Yeah, we're just flowing.
And then there is also then the seeker mindset,
Yes.
which is, let's say, the second step. The third one, and there's a reason why we did 3, right? Because distinct levels that we go through.
Yes.
You might even equate it with body, mind, and spirit. Or you might even equate it with other forces.
Different things. Think,
Or
do,
100%.
being,
Like
as Joe Dispenza says.
Yeah, or in philomath, it's like the number 3.
Yes.
Or let's say a mathematical language.
Yes.
3 is the master builder number.
Yes.
All the way up to 33.
Yeah.
Which in essence is, where when Jesus died, it's a stepping into a new sense of self. So look, there's many reasons why we utilize it in that frame. But fundamentally a seeker mindset. How would we describe a seeker mindset before we go co-creator?
Okay, how will we describe a seeker mindset? Well, I feel like to build on for where we're flowing at the moment, I feel it comes to like, okay, so I've acknowledged that those things that happened to me happened for me, and they're a symptom of what I'm actually asking. So where am I in this existence? What is actually going on? It's that let's say an expanded awareness, which allows you to become more of that seeker, which more aligns to your mission, reason, and purpose.
I love it. So well explained. So we might say healing is fundamentally the human conditioning happening to you.
Yes. And what is the human condition? Literally says it in the name.
Yeah, says it in the name. I love that one. And then a seeker mindset will be the one where the human condition is happening for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then at some point you've now sought.
Yes.
And you've looked.
Yes.
And you've gone and you've gone through, so many things. Like we've got a bookshelf here, which one day we might move somewhere else.
So you guys can see it as
our
well.
beautiful, what's this room called?
Eden.
Eden.
Yes. As you can see, the Garden of Eden is just behind us.
Yeah. Adam and Eve, and
Yes.
they're taking bites of the apple, right?
Yes.
That's it. So anyway, you guys can go find out more about that for yourselves.
Yes, we can.
And moving along. So then let's say at a point within the seeker mindset, it gets to a level where you start to question, well, not everyone, right? But you start to question more existential movements, very much like that great philosopher. I absolutely love his work, Hegel,
Yes.
right? Where he starts to question the very meaning and existence of reality. Then.
Yes.
Because it's like, okay, I'm here now, I'm finding balance, I'm doing good, but why?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But at some point, the transition between seeker and co-creator is that you let go of the question why.
Yes. It
Because
becomes more of a polarization.
that's it. Because you find something that you're then drawn to.
Yes.
You're magnetized
Yes.
to it. And that is the stepping out of the way where you find mission, reason, and purpose.
Yes.
But that you can only find for yourself. It's like the great esoteric tradition called the Kabbalah.
Yes.
Not the Kybalion, the Kabbalah.
Yes.
Which has the tree of life with the different sephiroths. It's I actually have it, tattooed.
Yes, the esoteric version you do.
Well, this is the Hermetic version.
The Hermetic version.
Of the Kabbalic tree of life. So the only difference between this one and the original one is that Darth,
Yeah.
which is, the middle path, at the very top right before Kether, which is the very pinnacle of realization,
Yes.
is actually shown on this one. Whereas in the original one, it's not shown. But I wanted them all
Yes.
shown. But let's say then Darth is that middle path.
Yeah, the Vesica Pisces, we can say.
The Vesica
The
Pisces.
equilibrium.
Yeah, yeah. That we have the yin and the yang.
Yes.
Because some of the viewers might not know what the Vesica Pisces is, but you
Yes.
have the yin and the yang, right? With the black and the light, dark
Yes.
and light.
Uh-huh.
And there's a line that goes in between the two.
Yeah.
And that's called the
The Vesica Pisces.
Vesica Pisces. And we
Yes.
can also call it the mercurial edge.
Yes. Or even the flaming sword.
Or, the path of the flaming sword, which is in the Kabbalah. But then essentially, that's the one, the reason I brought that up is because that path from seeker to co-creator, no one can do for you.
Nope.
you find it yourself.
Yes.
But there's this curious thing that happens that throughout that process, you know, how can I explain this part? There was an interview with Carl Jung. I might post this as well down below.
Cool.
We'll take notes as we go through, and
exactly.
we'll add it down below. But there was an interview by Carl Jung, and he got asked a question by an interviewer, where the interviewer asked if he thinks God is real.
Yes.
And he answers the question in essence. He said that he doesn't believe that God is. He knows that it is, and that's not something they can logically give or logically say or logically verbalize, but it's a knowing, isn't it? It's a knowing, and it's a knowing.
It's coming back to a feeling.
Coming back to a feeling, but you can also witness it.
Definitely.
I mean, here we are, we're sitting in it, it's happening now, right? And that's what the Kybalion then states as well, right? So then for me, the seed of life is an encapsulate of the light, the Christ light.
Yes.
It is the very definition and meaning of Samael looking into the face of God and realizing it's him.
Yes.
Right? And then falling into an embodied state as he's split into two, the whole story of the Anunnaki, right? From Nu through the waters into Anu, split into the Hermaphrodites, right? Adam, which is Atum, and then into Eve, which are from, the woman, from the man, and then into eventually where we are.
Yes.
But then that is the very realization of God. And then the key and the infinity.
Yes.
I might get you to answer that.
Of course. So with the infinity, we add the infinity on there as well, because we've come to realize that, so yes, in regards to talking about passing on or death, we know that scientific knowledge has proven that energy doesn't dissipate. So there's always going to be something after this. We can look as being multiple reincarnations, whatever you believe. And for us, the infinity symbol represents that infinite potential within ourselves and the infinite continuing of this beautiful experience we're having here on this place called Earth, on this spinning ball of mud.
100%.
Yes.
I love that answer. Because we might say, what we were describing before, there's so many different tools and modalities.
Yes.
Let's say
different rules of engagement. There's so many ways to get to that awareness. Definitely.
The awareness of fundamentally that it's you.
Yes.
But these teachings have been hidden for such a long period of time. I mean, us ourselves, we've been studying it lately.
Yes.
Right. And we got to the point where now even in our reality, people are bringing through other content, and they're going, oh, look, like this is content that we're putting together. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I've been studying it for fucking ages.
It's amazing when you come to realize that everything is just a reflection of yourself.
Yeah.
And that aspect of them being reflexive.
100%, because, it's
which is the aspect of the infinity as well.
I love that.
That's cool.
Because you just said reality is what?
Reflection, reflexive, and intention is everything.
Which we've got a beautiful man coming on shortly as well, Richard Triggs, which he used it in one of his books.
Yes, he sure did.
So yes, if you're wondering where he got that from. But anyway, back to the story then. But there's so many ways to realize that it's you.
Definitely. Even like that beautiful video we watched recently on Netflix, remember it? It was about the infinity symbol, and it was so cool how it unpacked that in the wave of the infinite potential. Remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the one on Netflix where it's like they use the hotel.
Yes.
And it's like it's infinite that way and infinite that way.
Yeah.
But it's also one and the same with a circle.
Yes.
Because a circle actually has infinite sides.
Yes.
It's not actually a pure line.
Like the Ouroboros, we can say.
Yeah. But at some point we start to realize that it is fundamentally a circle or a torus where the energy that goes out comes back in at some point in the greater scheme of things.
Yes.
Which are no wonder, these ancient advanced civilizations that they talk about.
Yes.
It's us.
Yeah, it is.
That's it.
We've done it all.
We've done it all. We've been, we've played, we've done this. And then there's a realization then, this is where the seekers then get stuck.
Yes.
It's like, okay, but then if we've done everything, why are we still here?
Yes.
Well, it's the very act of being here is it.
Yes.
It's the awe.
You're
It's
living
like,
through it.
it's like, wow, out of the no thing or the new,
Yes.
right?
The nothing.
The something was birthed. Let's look at how it got birthed. You know, look how fucking interesting it is. Because all I had to do was just get over myself.
Yes, I agree.
Isn't it?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, and I feel the other symbol as well is the key.
Yeah.
So I feel, why don't you share what do you feel the key is for?
For the key?
Yeah.
Well, it's very much, I feel, what we've been saying as well.
I agree.
So you have all that meaning in the seed behind us.
Yes.
Healing mindset, seeking mindset, co-creator mindset. Right? Now, there's many different circles that we are creating.
Yes.
Much like, inspired from sacred healing.
Yes.
Right? So then many different circles that come into being where we go, okay, so there's certain modalities that we've learned from studying.
Yes.
Where there's, let's say, 7 aspects or 7 circles fundamentally, even if you look at the seed. I'm pretty sure it's 7.
Me too.
Right? 2, 4, 6. But then the bigger thing is a circle as well, 7.
Yeah, 7.
So yeah, like the 7 Hermetic laws or the 7 great virtues of the soul, or there's so many. There's so many different ways to look at it.
The 7 chakras.
That's it.
Yeah.
But then fundamentally, it's what we're then teaching.
Yes.
We could say in our own way, the way that we took it and we transformed it into our own thing, right? But it's the same thing that everyone else is teaching.
Yeah, they're just doing it in their own unique way, their own edge, their uniqueness.
And if the haters go, no, I created it myself, there's nothing new.
It's the same story, just getting written.
That's
rewritten. It's
the same story. So then there's a reference then, let me put it in a different way. There's the great arcanum, which is the great knowledge of us.
Yes.
Which is hidden in plain sight.
Yes.
Hidden in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Bible.
Yes.
Let's say the Quran.
Yes.
Zohar, Kabbalah.
Yeah.
Hermeticism.
Yeah.
Goes on and on and on and on and on. It's all the same thing, fundamentally. Behind it is a great story. If you can see that story, good on you. If not, your time might come.
Yes.
Persist.
Yes.
You will get there.
Yes.
But there's 7 steps to this great arcanum, to the awakening of the Kundalini, right? We started what today?
Yoga.
She wrote me into it.
Yes, I did. And it was awesome. Thank you, Rashi, for your beautiful
Thank
glass.
you, Rashi. We look forward to seeing you on the podcast too as well.
Yes, we will.
Anyway. But yeah, look, all is mind, law of correspondence, vibration, rhythm, vibration,
cause
and effect, and gender.
Yes.
Right? So these 7 steps in a row, I usually don't mess it up.
It's okay.
That's strange. Anyway, but these 7 transmuted, we then utilize in a way to self-actualize.
Yes, this is the key.
That's it. One and the same with like Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yes.
It's like we first put in place physiological.
Yes.
But even to come and work with us, it's like physiological's already in place.
Yes.
We really are niched.
Yes.
And we do work with people in more of the seeker to co-creator mindset is what we tend to find. But we do also open doors for the healing mindset as well. Of course we do. We are there. We were there. We are not there.
We are not there, but we were
there. So then essentially we created then a system, which is also 7 steps, which we call
SAIWOE.
SAIWOE.
And that's spelled as SAIWOE.
100%. And what do they each stand for? Do you remember?
So S is simplified, A is advanced, I instructions, W whilst, O on, E earth. So simplified, advanced instructions whilst on earth. Dun, 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 dun.
Every time we say it, I get goosebumps.
Me too.
It's really awesome. Because we found that, and we don't have to go into it too much, but we found that driving home in a car one day, and we said we need a name for our structure. We need a name for our system. And then it just came up by going deciphering.
We were speaking about, remember the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah, we were speaking about the Ark of the Covenant, where 2 or more in my name, there I am. And then, hence it came.
Yeah, it just came. We were open conduit and doof. We had a download. It was like we're in the loading area.
That's it. It literally felt like master and teacher, as mentioned in the Kybalion.
Yeah.
Right? Literally felt like a master to teacher moment. And then if you were to jump on now on the internet and you look up SAIWOE, the esoteric, there's an actual esoteric tradition.
Yeah.
And we found it.
We found it. It
like
found
by
us.
chance. It found us.
Yeah, it did.
100%.
Yeah.
It was like the energy came, and then boom, it happened.
Popped.
So simplified, advanced instructions whilst on Earth. And not to give too much away, but this system then, it is remarkable at unlocking one's mind.
Yes.
To be able to not only, and this is like for some people, it's their life's journey to find peace.
Yes.
Right? But also to learn to fully rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in the present, which is here now.
That's
Nowhere.
it.
Now here.
To rest in the present. That's it. Nowhere, now here.
Yeah.
Right? So then essentially we have many different systems and structures that are coming out from SAIWOE.
Yes.
So SacredCo is the bigger baby, we might say. But then one of the circles on the seed is this.
Yes, right? Unveiling Lives.
Unveiling Lives. So once again, welcome.
I know, welcome to Unveiling Lives.
Some really awesome shit coming.
There is some awesome shit coming.
So this is one part of it.
Yes.
But look, I am also cautious to not, over-promise and then under-deliver.
Yes.
But there's, let's say, some other events and retreats coming out as well. Yeah. We won't go into that too much at this point in time. But there is something really cool which will be posted shortly as well on our website.
Yes.
So go and check it out when you guys want to. Currently, the website will be launched by the time that this podcast is on.
Yes.
Now, on the website, there is our favorite YouTube videos.
Yes, like Ram Dass, Alan Watts,
Bruce Lee,
you name it. Manly
P. Hall, H.P. Blavatsky, also, videos that you don't really find.
Yes, they find you.
They find
you have to go into the wild wide wood.
That's it. Yeah, I love that. It's a Fleur reference.
Yes, it is a Fleur.
Fleur's my father, by the way. He'll probably be on here at some point as well. But then on our website, you will find that section is called Learn from the Teachers, which has, at this point, I think is about 60 YouTube videos on there, and it's going to be even more.
Yes.
Like we'll be loading it and loading it and loading it. So it might seem like a jumble of mess of YouTube videos, but I assure you we do it for a good reason.
Yes.
We want you to find what feels right, click and learn.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, each of these videos go for like 3 hours. Some go for 11 hours.
Some go for half an hour.
Some go for half an hour. Some 6 minutes,
Yes.
So just enjoy.
Yeah,
that's why we're creating it.
Educate.
Enjoy, Let's all wake up in this game.
At the same time.
Then there's also information around psychedelics,
Yes.
which is awesome. No, we do not provide any.
No, we do not.
This is purely just an
information
and
education around it.
Because we found so much from doing it.
Yes, we sure did.
So then you can find that in your own way, or potentially in whatever way that you find it.
We have a poetry section, as I'm very into poetry. So I usually, after I go down a rabbit hole myself, I will utilize those teachings and I'll reinforce it within myself by writing a poem to also give individual a different way to learn and educate themselves.
So that's it.
A creative way.
100%. So there's a poetry section on there.
Yes.
And then there's the Unveiling Lives section, which is the podcast, which will be posted on both YouTube, potentially Spotify as well.
Yes.
We'll have a look at that. But then fundamentally on our website as well. So it keeps it all nice and ordered and beautiful. So enjoy. Because at some point there will be a community formed as well.
Yes.
Which then all of these different things will be brought together, like the seed with the infinity symbol and the key, where we can all as a community do this together.
Yes.
And that is what I'm most excited about.
Yes.
That
is the super conscious.
That is the super conscious. No, I love it. But yeah, look, guys, what else did we want to mention on here up until this point?
I feel that's a good introduction to who we are and what our services are and what will be coming within the next few weeks or months or days.
That's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had fun.
I did too.
Fun little podcast.
And I hope you guys enjoyed getting to meet us and know more about us and how we are serving the community for the greater good.
Thank you for watching, guys.
Yes.
And once again, as Rekiah said, really, for us, the only thing that we're truly after is to earn your trust.
Yes.
That is it.
Yeah.
We don't ask for anything in return.
Nope. Just
Nothing.
trust. Fun.
Just good content, fun, nice people. Unveiling lives means unveiling their lives.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So let's do this together.
And let's unveil each other's lives right now.
Yeah. Okay. Love you guys.
Love you.
Aho.
Aho.